Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. So today's topic is honestly fascinating because it's going to completely flip how you think about, well, literally a third of your entire life. Today, we're unpacking exactly how sleep posture improves your overall health. Now just think about this for a second. From the time we're little kids, society is absolutely obsessed with how we sit and how we stand, right? We constantly hear things like sit up straight or stop slouching. But crazy enough, we completely ignore the posture of how we sleep. I mean, why on earth do we spend all our waking hours fighting gravity, only to just totally abandon our spine the second our eyes close?
Okay, let's dive right into this, because this right here exposes what I like to call the missing link in our whole health and wellness obsession. Over an average lifetime, you're going to spend about 4.5 years eating, and roughly a year and a half exercising. We obsess over organic whole foods, we endlessly debate the best workout routines, and we spend billions, literally billions, on gym memberships. But compare all that to the time you spend resting. You actually spend just as much time sleeping as you do eating and exercising combined. Yet, while we meticulously plan out our diets, we give almost zero thought to the physical position our body actually rests in for a third of our lives.
I bet every single one of us shares this exact memory. You know, you're 5 years old, you're playing on the floor, and suddenly grandma screams across the room, "Posture!" Instantly, you snap up and straighten your spine. Heck, even today, if someone just says the word posture, you probably immediately sit up a little straighter in your chair. I know I do. But as our source material points out, posture isn't just about satisfying grandma, right? It's this eternal, daily fight against gravity. And when we're awake, that fight is really hard. It's uncomfortable. But the crazy thing is, we only ever think about posture when we're awake. We completely forget about it the minute we hit the mattress, which is incredibly ironic.
So to really understand why this is such a massive blind spot for us, we have to look at the crucial difference between daytime discomfort and nighttime discomfort. Imagine you're sitting in the back of a car, or, even right now in a chair, and you accidentally fall asleep with your neck totally cranked to the side. Within like 10 minutes, your neck feels like it's on fire, right? That waking pain jolts you awake and you instantly adjust. But when you're fully asleep in your own bed, that protective mechanism totally changes. Because you're asleep, you can get trapped in these heavily damaging, wildly twisted positions for hours on end without your body ever forcing you to wake up and correct it.
And getting trapped like this happens when we're already super vulnerable, mostly because modern humans are just desperately sleep deprived. Just take a look at this staggering data point. 74% of people are getting less than 7 hours of sleep a night. Honestly, some cities are reporting that 1 in 2 people get less than 6 hours. Every single day, we're totally bombarded with articles and scientists telling us that if we don't get exactly 8 hours of sleep, our health is basically going to crumble. But for most of us, just hearing the advice, just get 8 hours, is incredibly frustrating. Because let's be real, it feels totally impossible.
Because the simple truth is, life gets in the way. You might get an unexpected bill that keeps your mind racing all night. You could be super stressed about your boss or a big project at work. Maybe you're going through relationship issues, or you just have noisy kids waking up at 3 in the morning. There are literally a million external reasons why sleep quantity is completely out of your control on any given night. We just can't always dictate how long we sleep. So we desperately need to pivot our focus to something we absolutely can control, our physical sleep position.
So the crucial point is that just chasing sleep quantity isn't enough. Which brings us to part 1, the cycle of pain, and why quantity isn't enough.
Now, just look at this number, 1.78 billion. That is how many people globally are suffering from some sort of chronic pain. It is an absolutely astronomical figure. And here's the kicker. A massive, massive portion of all this suffering is directly tied to what happens to our bodies when the lights go out.
This perfectly maps out the trap so many of us fall into. It's a total vicious cycle. Stage 1, you have chronic pain, meaning basically everything hurts. Stage 2, because you're in pain, your mental health takes a massive hit. The data shows that 60% of people with chronic pain suffer from depression. Stage 3, because you're in pain and feeling depressed, you experience incredibly poor sleep. You just simply cannot rest. And finally, stage 4, because you didn't rest, you wake up in an absolutely terrible mood, experiencing even more pain. It is this endless loop that we are all desperately stuck in. And standard medical advice that simply says, hey, just get your 8 hours, well, that's just not going to break it.
So to really break this cycle, we have to look at part 2, the provocative posture, otherwise known as the twisted pretzel.
So there's this fascinating anecdote from our source material about Katie Marchant, who was an Olympic bronze medalist in track cycling. She was training heavily, like 7 hours a day, and suddenly started suffering from severe right knee pain, a super stiff hip, and this awful burning in her shoulders. Naturally, she assumed the cause was her daytime activity. As she said, it's all down to the bike. I mean, cyclists spend hours hunched over for aerodynamics, so it made perfect sense to just blame her daytime posture.
But here is the incredible twist. Her pain had absolutely nothing to do with her bike. Zero. Her daytime activities were actually not the culprit at all. Her pain was entirely based on how she was resting her body at night. Turns out, Katie was sleeping in what clinical research calls a provocative posture. Let's define this clearly, because I guarantee a lot of you probably sleep exactly like this. This is when you lie down, you bring one leg over the other, and you squeeze your knees down so they both touch the bed. When you do this, your top hip goes completely diagonal, your spine violently twists, your shoulders drop forward into essentially a faceplant. As the source material humorously describes it, you are literally sleeping like a twisted pretzel. And clinical research clearly shows that going to sleep in a provocative posture makes you significantly more likely to wake up with increased symptoms of pain.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates the huge disconnect. Think about complex neurological patients who are bedridden for like 23 or 24 hours a day. Their posture is meticulously managed. They're fully supported with specialized postural management equipment to preserve their internal organs, to maintain their lung capacity, and to make sure their digestive systems actually work. But compare that to the average healthy person. We have absolutely zero clue how to sleep properly. We toss, we turn, and we twist our spines into these agonizing shapes, just completely oblivious to the damage we're doing.
And the crazy part is, we have known better for decades. There is conceptual evidence dating all the way back to 1987, proving that maintaining a neutral resting spine is the absolute non-negotiable foundation for bodily healing. A neutral spine literally accelerates recovery from spinal injuries. Let that sink in. If a neutral spine is the baseline required to heal a broken back, it is absolutely essential for the everyday recovery of a normal, healthy body. We heal when we are aligned, not when we are twisted up into a knot.
So how do we actually fix this? Well, welcome to part 3, The Soldier and the Dreamer, your new software.
Okay, so the very first thing we need to understand is the massive difference between hardware and software. The entire sleep industry wants to sell you expensive hardware, right? We're talking beds that cost 10 grand and spin you around, wildly expensive lavender sprays, and fancy smartwatches that basically just exist to tell you how terrible your sleep was. But honestly, you don't need any of that stuff. You just need to update your software. And the software is simply the physical position you choose to put your body in when you turn out the lights. And the absolute best part, upgrading your software tonight is 100% free.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might say, but I toss and turn 1,000 times a night. I can't control that. And actually, that's totally fine. What really matters is your starting position, the one position you can consciously control when you first close your eyes. And clinically speaking, based on extensive healthcare experience, there are only 2 highly recommended positions. The first is the soldier, which is lying flat on your back, fully supported, maintaining a perfectly neutral spine. The second is the dreamer, which is lying perfectly supported on your side.
Let's look at how this builds into an actionable routine you can actually do tonight to nail the dreamer configuration. It takes 3 super simple steps. Step 1, lie on your side. Step 2, and listen, this is the absolute game changer right here. Place a spare pillow firmly between your knees and your ankles. Step 3, ensure your spine remains perfectly neutral. Because here's what happens. That pillow stops your top leg from crossing over. It stops your hips from sliding diagonal. It physically prevents you from turning into that awful twisted pretzel.
And the physical payoffs for making this tiny, completely free adjustment are just incredible. Think about it. If you stop twisting your spine, you will inevitably wake up in less pain. And remember our cycle of pain from earlier? If you wake up in less pain, you're going to be in a much better mood. You will actually increase your morning energy levels. It's going to noticeably lessen those tension headaches and that awful burning in your shoulders and neck. And for a lot of people, simply straightening out your airway by untwisting your body might even completely stop you from snoring. Literally, just putting a simple spare pillow between your legs can reverse the cycle of pain and actually save your spine. Which brings us right to the end of our explainer today. We spend an equal amount of our lives sleeping as we do eating and exercising, yet it totally remains our absolute biggest posture blind spot. But the good news is, you are now fully equipped with the free software you need to change your health immediately. So I'm going to leave you with this final empowering question. Knowing what you know now about the vicious cycle of pain and the incredible healing power of a neutral spine, what position will you choose to fall asleep in?